With the ban of Baxcalibur in Generation 9 OU competitive play, this has opened the door to many more Pokemon to receive more spotlight in the competitive OU tier. So Baxcalibur, if you guys don't know, I'm going to give a quick rundown. I already described this in my last video, right? But Baxcalibur was banned because of its Scale Shot and Loaded Dice combo, right? And you combine this with like something with Icicle Spear, which was already used before with Thermal Exchange, and then you have something like Dragons to even boost it. It was just incredible, and like there was no other reason to really use any other ice types. Like this literally, even though Garchomp did get Scale Shot, like Garchomp was kind of suppressed because of Baxcalibur. There's no reason to use like Mamoswine because this thing could hit back with an EQ or just keep going for Scale Shot, etc. Like this thing was immensely overpowered in the OU tier, but with it banned, it's actually opened up the door to a couple of Pokemon, and namely, I want to talk about Weavile, something I think a lot of people are now starting to pick up upon. Weavile, if you guys don't know, is like the regular version or like the Sinonian version of Hisuian, like I guess it's Hisuian evolution of Sneasler, and you can see the difference in stats. This one is a bit more powerful, this one's a bit more fast. So obviously it's always run like max attack, max speed, and you give it like for an HP, and you can give this thing like it's usually Jolly, and it's usually one of the Focus Sash or Heavy Duty Boots. You could opt for either, or even a Choice Band. Rather, we'll just give it Heavy Duty Boots for now as I'm explaining. It's got Pressure and Pickpocket, both of which are okay abilities at best in competitive, but obviously you'd be running with Pressure most of the time. You could run Pickpocket. Actually, it's actually not that bad if this thing does not have an item. If it gets like knocked off or something, it could steal like an opposing like leftovers, but again, it's a bit more situational, kinda, in my opinion. Anyways, so Weavile actually in the Teal Mask DLC did receive a buff in one of its moves of Knockoff. This was such an important move for Weavile throughout its time in OU and just in competitive play in general. Such a great dark type sap, and without it, it didn't really have much, to be honest. And the other move it did lose back in like Generation 8, which it had, was something called Triple Axle. I'll pull it up right here. So this was a move that hit 3 times in a row. Each hit could miss, but power increases, and this means its attack stage could increase if it hit a Triple Axle. So every time it hit, its power kept increasing, which was actually really good for Weavile. Funny enough though, in Generation 9 they did get rid of the move entirely, I believe. Like I don't think there's a Pokemon that learns Triple Axle at all. Yeah, the Triple Axle is not even a game, so yeah, unfortunately it's not there. But Weavile also does have another move in Ice Spinner, which in theoretically could work. Now, why am I talking about Weavile over like something like Mamoswine or stuff like that? Mamoswine I could see a rise, but Weavile, most in particular in my opinion, was always overshadowed by something like Chimpao and Baxcalibur, who were just superior ice types that could run rampant especially. And Chimpao was basically a Mega Weavile at this point because it was literally Dark and Ice, better coverage, and just better damage overall. Actually, I don't know about coverage, but it just had better damage and had like Sucker Punch, it had like Crunch, Ice Fang, Ice Spinner, Icicle Crash, etc. It had everything you wanted in a Pokemon, along something like Sacred Sword, and a way to set up with Sword Stance, and a really good ability in Sword of Ruin. Weavile, on the other hand, did not have any of those traits, and it was banned. But even before it could come back in the OU tier, you have something like Baxcalibur, who was just way better as an Ice type offensive Pokemon. But Ice is already a frail type, so trying to have 2 Ice Pokemon on your team is kind of a bit of a situational thing. So why would you run Weavile over something like Baxcalibur, especially since Weavile did not have any utility and knockoff or anything like that.
And its defense also kind of sucked. It wasn't all that good compared to like Baxcalibur, for example. Baxcalibur, like its defense stats as a pseudo was just much better. So as an ice type overall, and also having 2 Pokemon weak to like Moonblast wasn't also going to be fun. You'd rather run Baxcalibur in its meantime while the Chimpao was banned.
But now in the Teal Mask DLC, it does have knockoff, and it does have still solid ice type moves. So we got knockoff, we could run Ice Spinner. Low Kick is pretty powerful, and I think Low Kick in my opinion could handle a lot of the meta. And Weavile, in my opinion, actually it does serve pretty well against some of the like more faster Pokemon. Like you can handle Dragapult, Moongus pretty well, Clodsire pretty well. It could low-key hold up its own against Clefable before it starts setting up Corviknight, and kind of here and there. Crawdaunt, of course. And you can keep going down Dragonite, Dragapult, like the, Garchomp, Garganacl, Goldango, Gliscor. It actually hits a lot of Pokemon for super effective damage, and because it's the only like relevant ice type that's fast that's left in the tier, it could actually serve as a pretty good. So like you got like Ice Spinner, I think like knockoff Ice Spinner, you can run like Low Kick, and then like Ice Shard for like priority is something that could be really good. You could also replace Ice Spinner with like something like Icicle Crash and work your way like this. You could also replace Ice Shard or like Low Kick with like Sword Stance, for example, an opportunity to raise your attack as well. So you have like, oh, you could get rid of Ice Crash, just have Ice Shard, so then and then you just run like maybe like Focus Sash. So then you Focus Sash, and or you could run the Fake Out as well, but Fake Out's a bit, actually you could run Fake Out. So I don't know, there's a lot you could do with Weavile now that it has knockoff, and like that, which is like one of its best priority moves. Like sure, Triple Axel was really good, but Triple Axel was really only there in Generation 8, and prior to Generation 8 Weavile was still pretty good, so I don't really see as much of a big loss as people are really making out to be. Now for Terra types, this is an offensive Pokemon, so what you really want to probably boost is either Ice or Dark, but with only knockoff being is really good like Dark type move, boosting it when it doesn't have like an item or like the opponent doesn't have an item is kind of, you know, not that great. I think you'd rather run Ice, and you can get like a stab, you can like get more power, 2-time stab on like Icicle Shard, not Icicle Shard, Ice Shard, Icicle Crash, Ice Spinner. Like I think you could do that. You could also run something like Icicle Spear if you really wanted to, but I mean it's up to you. Ice Spinner though is definitely a better option than probably like Icicle Crash, because missing all the time is a pain. And before you guys say talk about its bulk and its frailty, dude, we have Sneasler in the metagame, and Sneasler, while I know it's the more offensive one and you probably run Choice Scarf, etc., Weavile anyways is the more faster one, and being the more faster one actually proves that to be much more reliant, because the only Pokemon really gets outsped is like Zamazenta and Dragapult. Dragapult being the more relevant one, because Dragapult's like almost on every team you probably encounter. So, and even with Dragapult you have stuff like Ice Shard to take advantage of, so you could just run Ice Shard and get through with it, and you could run Focus Sash. You probably run Heavy Duty Booster because hazards are still a thing, and Hazard Metal with Goldengo and Hisui and Samurott is not going to disappear anytime soon. So those are kind of things you probably want to work with. Yeah, so like anyways, I think this is something with Weavile, and I think Weavile will definitely rise in Generation 9 OU, especially with the ban of Baxcalibur. Like this is the only relevant fast ice type left in the tier, and there's nothing else you would probably want to run. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Weavile, and if you guys are new, be sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content like this. I bring a lot of competitive Pokemon content like this, and there's a lot more coming off the Teal Mask DLC. So if you guys are excited, please be sure to subscribe and join me on the journey. Other than that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching as always.